Drop a like and do share. Leave your comments and do not forget to subscribe for more videos.
What's up guys? This is Manoj Shaptani. I welcome you all on behalf of the Edipedia world. Fasten up your seatbelts. We're about to take off with the first topic of the day, and that will be audit procedures in relation to clients' bills and ledgers and clients' bank accounts in case of a member of stock exchange. So guys, before moving on to the audit procedures with respect to the clients' bills, ledgers or their bank accounts, let's understand each one of these terms first of all. So guys, client bill is basically a summary of all the trades which are executed on the behalf of the client during a particular settlement. It reflects the net amount, the receivable amount which is receivable by the member from the client, and the payable amount which is payable by the member to the client. This is the summary of all the trades which are executed on behalf of that client. The amounts which are due as per the client's bill are normally posted to the individual ledger account. So this is about the client bills. Now, how is it different from client ledger? So guys, let's understand what does client ledger basically mean. So client ledger is basically a ledger which is consisting and containing the details of bills raised and the payments received from or made to the clients. Client ledger should be maintained separately for different exchange or for different trading segment of the same exchange. This is particularly the difference between the two. One is about the summary, another one is basically the ledger which is going to contain the detail about the bills and the payment received against the same. If I'll talk about the client bank account now, so the member should maintain the separate bank account for client's money and his own money. It is something which is extremely important to note here, that if in case I am the member, so I'll be taking care of my bank account as my own. That is separate thing. And if in case I have deposited my money with you as a member, that means I am acting as a client and you are acting as a member, and I have deposited my money with you. So what you are going to do is you need to maintain a separate bank account for my money. That is my client's money basically. So for transactions which are entered into by the member on his own account, payment should not be made from the client's account in any of the case. That is something which is extremely important to note. This is about the meaning of these three terms: client bill, client ledger and client bank account. Now coming to the auditor's duty with respect to each one of them. So let's talk about the auditor's duty with respect to the client's bills and ledgers. So number one, we need to verify the client's bills and ensure that the same are properly posted to the client's ledger or not. We need to ensure that the client's receipts and payments are made through designated client bank account only of that member. Also, we need to examine whether any kind of loan or deposit which is received from or paid to the clients have passed through the client ledger account or not. Also, we need to scrutinize the accounts which are appearing in the client's ledger with the client's account and ascertain their age. We need to ascertain that. Why? Because that the period of their outstanding will come out in that particular case. And in case of old debit balances, we need to ascertain the need of any kind of provision for bad and doubtful debts or not. Also, we need to examine whether the amounts received from the clients is consistently different from the contract bill or notes or not, representing the financial and accounting irregularity which should be inquired into in detail. Which is something extremely important to note. And finally, we need to verify that the client's letter confirming the balances of the members in their records or not. This is all about the auditor's duties with respect to client bills and ledger. Now coming to the second point and the relevant part, that is auditor's duties with respect to client bank account. So we need to ensure that only a few things are paid into the client's account. That is number one, money held or received on account of clients, money for the replacement of any sum withdrawn by accident or mistake, check or draft which is received from the client. Also, we need to verify that a few payments are made out of the client account. That is the money required for payment of clearing corporation or house facility on behalf of the clients. That should be paid only out of the client's pocket. Also, money for replacement of any of the sum which is deposited by accident or mistake. After doing all these things, we need to take care of the scrutiny part. That is, scrutinize the bank reconciliation statement for all the bank accounts and inquire into the abnormal findings if in case you find any. This is what you need to do as far as your auditor's duties are concerned with respect to the client bills and ledgers and client's bank account. I hope you guys got the complete clarity with respect to each and everything which I mentioned and made you understand over here. Shall we proceed for the next topic, guys? Perfect. Let's go ahead with the same. And this is about the three major topics which I wanted to cover as a short matter of note, because now I'm going to cover only the miscellaneous part. Number one is auditor's duties in relation to brokerage account of stock exchange members. So what all will be covered under auditor's duties with respect to brokerage account of stock exchange members? Number one, we need to examine whether at the end of each settlement brokerage income is credited to the brokerage account in general ledger or not. Number two, we need to ensure that the brokerage is credited for each settlement, and where it is not done, then we are going to require or inquire into the reasons therefore. Third, we need to verify that the brokerage amount is basically periodically reconciled with the amount on which service tax has been paid as disclosed in any of the service tax returns. And finally, we need to examine whether AS9, that is revenue recognition, this has been applied properly in recognizing the brokerage income or not. So this is all about the auditor's duties with respect to brokerage account of the stock exchange members. Moving on to the second part, that is steps which are involved in verification of margin deposit book of a stockbroker. So this subpart basically asks you for the steps which are involved in verification of the margin deposit book of a stockbroker. So guys, we all are aware of this fact that a member should maintain a margin deposit book, which will contain a few of the things with relation to the margins deposited with the clearing house. What do we need to do in our audit procedure? Number one, we need to verify the margin deposit to ascertain whether the member has complied with all the directives regarding margins issued by SEBI and stock exchange from time to time or not. Number two, we need to examine by applying appropriate audit procedures whether the margins have been properly calculated, collected and paid or not. Number three, we need to ensure that the margin deposits lying with the clearing house are supported by confirmation from the clearing house or not. Also, we need to ensure that the adjustment entries relating to the settlement margin and daily margin are correctly passed at the time of settlement or not. Examine whether the exemptions from the payment of margins of institutional trades have been claimed correctly or not. And finally, as a matter of fact, all you need to do is you need to cross-check the margin payments which are being made by the members with the daily margin statement obtained and downloaded from the stock exchange. This is something which is very crucial. So these are the steps which are involved in verification of the margin deposit book of a stockbroker. You need to verify the margin deposit book in order to ascertain whether the member has complied with all the directions. You need to examine by applying the audit procedures whether the margins have been collected and calculated completely and properly or not. Also, you need to check with the margin deposits which are lying with the clearing house are supported by confirmation from the clearing house or not. We need to ensure that the adjustment entries are correctly passed at the time of settlement or not. All these things will be covered under the steps involved in verification of the margin deposit book of a stockbroker. Now coming to the last topic of this particular slide, that is verification of the documents register. So what do I mean by verification of the documents register? Documents register, guys, is basically a kind of record that lists every security which is available with the member at any given point of time. It is also known as inward or outward register, which contains the detail of securities including their distinctive numbers received from or delivered to the clients in a physical form. Now, what should be your duty in this particular case? This document register, this inward and outward register. You need to scrutinize the register and analyze the balances of stock which are appearing in the register and segregate the same into the client stock and own stock. Number two, you need to inquire into the reasons for any client stock remaining with the member. Number three, you need to verify the stock available with the member at a random basis and reconcile the same with the details shown in the documents register. And finally, as an auditor, all you need to do is you need to ensure that the ledger provides for the distinctive numbers of the scripts received from or delivered to those clients. This is all that you need to do with respect to your duty as an auditor. This was about the verification of documents of register. So all I need to know is that you guys must have understood this holistic picture of these three topics as well. Though this question has been never asked in the C final examination, but the same have been covered under the ICI module. So I need to cover all these things which are covered under your syllabus, no matter whether the same has come into your examination in earlier attempts or not. So I hope you guys must have got the complete clarity with respect to each and everything which I told you of with respect to these particular topics. Shall we proceed further, guys? Let's move ahead with the next topic, and that will be about the auditor's procedures involved in verification of Demat Securities. So guys, now let's understand the audit procedures which are involved in verification of dematerialized securities. Number one is accounts. So guys, under Demat form, under dematerialization, the stockbrokers should maintain any of the following two accounts with their depository participants for handling the receipt and delivery of the securities in Demat. Number one, beneficiary account. Number two, pool account. So beneficiary account is one wherein the Demat securities belonging to the members for their own account are held. Number two is pool account, wherein the Demat securities of the clients are temporarily lodged for or transferred to from the client's clearinghouse in the pay-in and payout entries. That's the basic difference between beneficiary and pool account. Now the second point comes in as the transfer of securities by the clients. Number one is sale of securities. So the clients transfer their securities in a Demat form to the pool accounts of the members, who then transfers the same to the clearing house on the pay-in day. Next is the purchase of securities. So the clearing house basically transfers the securities to the pool account of members, who then transfers the same to the individual client account. This is how transfer of securities by the clients are being made. Number three is members' duties. So what should be the members' duty in this particular case? Number one, the member should maintain a proper record of all the shares which are received, delivered to, into, from any of the pool account. Then members should also preserve an acknowledged copy of the delivery instructions given to their DPs for transferring the securities from the pool accounts to the client's account after the payout. This is what members' duty would be in this particular case. Now moving on to the last part, that is our duties, that is auditor's duties. So an auditor should need to see whether the securities received by the members in the pool account are transferred within 48 hours of settlement to the buyer's client Demat accounts or not. Then they need to inquire into the reasons for holding a particular security in the pool account for an unreasonable time. Also, they need to verify that the securities in the pool account are not utilized by the member to meet his own pay-in obligations, and the same has not been used for the meeting of any of the auction obligations. Also, the auditor needs to perform procedural tests on a major items of income and expenses such as commission, brokerage, sub-brokerage, underwriting income, interest and dividends, advisory fees, all these things. You need to examine whether the deviations and variations in the opening results are logical by comparing them with the prior period event as well. So you need to perform all these things. And finally, apply analytical procedures on the financial statements of the major member to identify any of the irregular or unusual trends. This is all about the auditor's procedure with respect to verification of the Demat securities. It contains something related to accounts. What if I wish to transfer of the securities by the clients? What will the members' duties in this particular case, and what's going to be the auditor's duties? So I hope you guys must have got the complete idea with respect to this topic as well. Now let's move towards the last topic of this presentation and this chapter, which will be the auditor's report in case of audit of accounts of stockbrokers. So the number one thing that comes up is the statement of facts. So the auditor is required to state a few of the things. Number one, audit explanation. So whether the auditor has got the necessary information and explanation that are required for the purpose of audit or not. Number two, compliance. So whether the member of stock exchange has complied with all the requirements stipulated by the stock exchange in relation to maintenance of accounts or not. That is, maintenance of separate books of accounts for different memberships. Number three is the information to the stock exchange. Whether the member was regular in submitting the required accounting information to the client or not. And number fourth is agreement. whether the balance sheet and P&L account referred to in the audit report are in agreement with the books of accounts or not. So this is about the statement of facts that needs to be covered at any kind of cost. Then after seeking all these things, next thing which is going to happen is expression of opinion. So the auditors should express their opinion as to whether the financial statements give a true and fair view so far it represents and relates to balance sheet and P&L account or not. And secondly, they need to ensure expressing their opinion as to whether the member has maintained or kept proper books of accounts and records which are specified in various rules of SCRA 1957 or not. Then comes the corporate members. So where the member is a company registered under the Companies Act, the reporting consideration that may be applying to the other company shall also apply to the member company. That's going to happen because the same company is a corporate member. Now, what's going to be the time period in that case? So the audit report should be obtained within 6 months from the date of closing of the books of accounts. An extension for the period not exceeding 3 months may be granted by the executive director or secretary of the stock exchange in the individual cases. If in case he have exceeded and satisfied that adequate reasons basically exist for granting such an extension, it might be a possibility wherein he'll prove that it was very much important for them basically to take care that the audit report basically is obtained on time or not. And finally, after preparing the report, submission of the report takes place. So the audit report should be made out in triplicate, that is 3 copies, which is addressed to the member of stock exchange. The member should submit to the Ministry of Finance the copies of all the audit reports and not financial statements which are received during the quarter within 1 month from the end of that quarter itself. So this is something which is going to happen in case of auditor's report, in case of audit of accounts of stockbrokers. We need to take care of all the statement of facts about their audit explanation, about their compliance, about their information on stock exchange, their agreement. Expression of the opinion is going to happen if in case you guys are corporate members. So the reporting considerations that apply to other companies shall also apply to the member company. And then there is a time period which is 6 months from the date of closing of the books of accounts, and in no case that can be exceeded beyond 3 months. So, and finally, after having that time period, you can submit your report on time in that particular case. So this was all about this chapter, which was audit of members of stock exchange. I hope you guys must have revised your complete topics which have been covered under the last video presentation. By now, all you need to do is just revise these topics as well, in order to ensure that the thing which you are starting up gets retained in your mind. This is something which is extremely useful, guys. You can't escape it in any of the case. With this, I'll see you in the next presentation with some lot more exciting topics, with marking the new beginning of new chapter. Till then, I'll say thank you on behalf of the Edupedia world. Keep interacting via questions, queries and YouTube comment boxes. I will love to answer each one of your queries and grievances. If in case you have liked our video, do give us a thumbs up. Stay connected. That will help us in understanding our needs way better, guys. Love you all. Sayonara. God bless you.